everybody. I am James Harris, and this is my business partner, Mr. David Parnes. This is Rise Above the Ranks, the sister publication to readtheblueprint.com. If you haven't already done so, make sure to go ahead and subscribe today. Each week, we will be going over one topic that is going to just help elevate your business. And this week's topic, we're going to be discussing what I think is one of the most important topics in real estate, which is setting realistic expectations with your seller. Something we've learnt the hard way, we're working on and getting better with every day, but it's definitely a relevant topic of conversation.
Couldn't agree more.
Let's jump right into it, Dave. So let's start with where we went wrong when we started.
Oh my God, where did we go wrong? Look, the truth is, when we first started, we didn't really have listings. We didn't have a track record, so we just wanted to take any listing we could. It didn't matter what price the seller wanted. It was irrelevant. We just wanted that listing. And what we actually realized, yeah, it's great you have the listing. It's almost like buying a listing from a seller. But you're not only wasting your own time, you're actually wasting your seller's time. You're actually letting them down by taking a listing that is grossly overpriced, that you know is grossly overpriced, just to please the seller.
Yep.
And actually, it just doesn't benefit anyone in the long term. So I actually feel that even the listing is a negotiation, isn't it? You actually want subliminally for the seller to see how you can negotiate, even with them.
Yep, 100%.
And I think that you just got to set those realistic expectations. And at the end of the day, they're going to respect you more for it.
1,000,000%. I think they call it in our industry buying a listing, right? But buying a listing, what people seem to forget is having a listing takes time, right? And it costs money. So would you rather focus your time and money on an overpriced listing, or would you rather get a realistic seller with a realistic price and then put double the time, double the money in for 100x investment return on your on money?
Yeah, it'd be nice to actually get the commission as well at the end of the day.
Right. And so
you're not going to get that if it doesn't sell.
I can't remember the saying, but there is a saying, first something, second, third. Do you know the saying? I can't remember it.
Yeah.
What is it?
They fool you once.
No.
Fuck
shame on them. Fool you twice, shame on you.
Isn't it?
But
That's
you don't want to
isn't
be
it?
the second or third agent getting the listing at a 30%
That old
reduction.
chestnut.
Exactly, right?
Well, you actually would rather be the third agent or the
Totally.
second agent, than that first agent that is the schmuck with the overpriced listing. Right?
100%.
I agree with that.
So you go into a listing meeting. In your opinion, what are the most important things pre-listing meeting, during the meeting, up until getting it signed?
Well, we just actually got a listing, right? And we were the second listing agent on it, right? In Beverly Hills.
Third, no?
Maybe
or second?
No, it was the second, but it had been reduced once by the first person.
This is
right?
a great example.
And then it had been on for a long time, right? And then we put it on at what we believe to be the right price. And the open house, I was like, oh God, look, we get this second time round. It's been on the market for a long time. You think no one's going to show up. 100 people showed up at that broker's open. I was like, this is crazy. This property has been on the market. No one took any notice of it because it was grossly overpriced. No one brought their clients to see it because it was grossly overpriced. Also, the photos weren't great on top of that. I like to say we're pretty good with our marketing. And we sold it.
Absolutely.
And guess what? That other agent spent a lot longer on that listing than we did. But we had it at the right price.
And that's the key to success in our business, because especially right now, whilst interest rates are rising and buyers are going to start disappearing because they just can't afford to buy right now, if it's not realistically priced, you may as well not have it. So I think pre-listing meeting, doing your homework, really understanding the comps, right? Really understanding the comps, and then setting the realistic expectation when you go in with the seller. Right now, I know for me, when I'm pitching a seller, it's like, would you rather be the worst price house on the market or the best? Somewhere in the middle is probably about right. But you want to be aggressively priced so that you get people out to see the property. You don't want to be overpriced so people don't come and see it. And in this new market that we're entering, where there's more inventory coming up, you also don't want to be too low because it's very hard to raise the price. You can always lower it, right?
Agreed.
So,
unless it's a strategy just to do that. But
always have a strategy in mind, right?
Totally.
So for us, we go into these meetings, we're prepared, we have the comps, we have our ammunition, we know where we need to land. We usually give our sellers two options, right? Do you have 6 months to wait? Are you looking for that 1 in a million buyer? or are you actually a realistic seller that wants to move? And we gauge where they're at, right?
Totally.
And then once we've gauged that, then we know how to go into the rest of the meeting and come out with a positive result, which is a realistic price.
You can kind of sum it up pretty well as far as your client is your family. That's how you have to look at it. If your mother or your brother or your sister is sitting opposite you and you're giving them advice of what to do, just do the same thing.
Yep.
Be honest. Don't be scared. Don't skirt around. Oh, I don't want to upset this person because they'll give the listing to someone else. You need to do them a service.
Yep.
And have faith that the result will be right. And it will be right, by the way.
Agreed. And another strategy we love to use is, okay, let's use $2 million as an example right now. And the seller wants 2.8. We know it's worth 2. How do you deal with that? So what we've done in the past, and I've seen it work many, many times, is we tell the seller, right, let's get the house photographed. Let's get our marketing ready. It's going to take, call it 3 to 4 weeks. Let's shop the house at 2.8 or 2,799,950. Let's see which agents are out there, which buyers are out there. Let's try and schedule some showings. Hey, maybe whilst we're off market, we'll sell the house. Maybe we'll find that one buyer that doesn't want it to go to market and they'll write you the check. Everybody walks away happy. But if we don't, then in that 4-week period, we've learned the most valuable information possible, which is the property's not worth what you think it is or I think it is. The property's worth what a buyer's willing to pay for it. In that 4-week period, you can turn around to your seller, say we've had 3, 4, 5 showings, the property's not trading. Then when you're ready to hit the market, now your seller has valuable information, and now you can go on the market at a price that actually makes sense. The seller feels comfortable, you've tried, and now you can go on at the 2.2 or the 199,950. Now you've kind of crossed the T's and dotted the I's, and the seller feels good and you feel good, and then you go on market, and please God, it sells.
That's a really good strategy. Shopping off market, yeah, totally. Because then they can't argue with the facts at the end of the day.
Yeah,
like, we're just giving you the facts.
100%.
The other way is a broker's pricing opinion as well.
100%.
So then you don't actually physically bring the buyers into the house at a different price. You can literally just invite key brokers from your office that you trust to come into the property and give their impartial opinion. And it's actually great because then you can give that data to the seller.
Yep.
And you can say, these people are impartial.
Yep.
It makes zero difference to them what you price this property at, right? And then you give them that range and it actually works as well.
Yeah, we've done it like literally in a hat where people put their number in anonymously. We come out with 10 and then we have that conversation with the seller. It really, really does. Pricing in this market, I believe, is hands down the most important thing. It can either make or break your sale. And the thing in the US is with the MLS, it can either be your best friend or your worst nightmare. If you incorrectly price a property and it hits the MLS and it goes stale and you're accumulating days on market, there is nothing more detrimental for that property than that right there.
Totally. 100%.
So it's the key to success, selling your property at the right number and setting a realistic expectation with your seller.
And the last tip is that you could say, which is true, in a market whereby there may be a slight cooling off, right?
Yep.
Which, let's be honest, it was so overheated before, it's probably much called for.
Normalized, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The point is that even if your seller sells for slightly less, the chances are when they buy, they're going to be buying for less.
100%.
So it's a wash. It's like you could have sold your property when the market was crazy, and then you could have bought something in that crazy market. Now you're selling your property at a price which may be a little bit less, okay, because the market's cooling off, but you're going to go and buy a new property for less. It's a complete wash.
Everything is relevant to the other, right?
Lateral trade.
Love that. Hope everybody got something great from that segment, because it really is, I think, the most important part of our business. That wraps up this episode.
What's the joke of the day?
The joke of the day. There isn't, but we do have 2 great questions from 2 listeners. So I'm gonna start with question 1 from Daniel. And this is actually a great question. Daniel would like to know more about how to manage his team better and how to retain quality agents and keep them for the long term.
Well, when you find out the answer, let us know. I'm joking. I'm kidding.
Exactly.
So I think the truth is, everyone's working on that because building a team is true value. At the end of the day, James and I, we have this incredible brand, right?
Yeah.
But there's only so many deals we can physically do, or so much business we can physically do. Whether the two of us can do 600 in a year or 1 billion in a year, right? You get a point whereby you just can't do anymore because there's not enough hours in the day, right? You just physically can't. And that really brings in the importance of a team. And actually, again, quality over quantity. So that was a really, really good question.
Great question.
I think the truth is you need to incentivize them and inspire them at the same time. And I use those two words very selectively. Inspire them because you want them to be around you and see what you do and know that they're learning from you. And incentivize them as far as obviously you want them to be incentivized. And they kind of work hand in hand, because if they can see what you can do and what is possible, they're going to want to emulate that. That's the kind of person you want on your team, that looks at you and wants to be you, and nothing's going to stop them. Obviously ethics, you always have to be ethical, but nothing is going to stop them from getting there. So just give them that information and show them how to do it.
Yeah.
And they'll flourish.
Love it. Fantastic. Couldn't agree with Dave more on that. And obviously incentivize them, keep them excited. Accountability. People love accountability, believe it or not. And make work fun. Have fun whilst you're doing it. Great question. Thank you, Daniel. Question 2 from Michelle. This is a great one. I know both you and David have daughters. Do you think they'll go into business together? I would love that.
That's hilarious.
And I'll just say, if I saw Sophia, my 12-year-old, and India, David's 4-year-old, in business together, I wouldn't fuck with either of them. They'll kill you. I wouldn't mess with Sophia or India.
Like a Bolivian Jew and an Armenian Jew. They're like two chemical reactions together.
That would actually be a strong business partnership right there.
They're both bosses, put it that way.
I mean, David, you have a T-shirt that says India's little bitch. I should probably have the same for Sophia and Chloe.
I did post that, then I had to take it down. It was such a good photo.
It was brilliant. Why would you take it down?
I got too much backlash, and I'm too soft. I'm not... Be thick-skinned in
Forget
life.
the backlash. Amazing. Thank you for 2 great questions. That was an incredible segment. That was Rise Above the Ranks. Again, the sister publication to readtheblueprint.com. We'll be bringing tons more content your way. Feel free to submit a question to hello@readtheblueprint.com. And thank you so much for tuning in.